Well, today's episode is going to be very interesting, but at the same time, I did not expect I was going to do this one, but I feel I must because I know for a fact some of you of my subscribers are fans of Stardom. So we're going to review two of the Golden Week Fight Tour shows that took place, I believe, on the 30th of April and the 3rd of May. And of course, this is very interesting because I have not seen the entirety of the tour. I did cover the first day that took place, but we will see what happens. Now, after that, of course, we're going to cap it up with some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, we're just going to be reviewing two of Stardom's shows that took place during the Golden Week Fight Tour. The first one we're going to do is in Fukuyama. This one took place on the 30th of April. Now, our first opening match is a three-way. We have Aya Sakura versus Hanako versus Xena. Now, you probably can guess that Sakura and Hanako are the new girls who were introduced as part of the ones that passed their protest a few months ago. Xena, as you know, she is the member from Club Venus. You probably would have thought this match would fall in her favor since she has a bit of the experience with in pro wrestling, and of course she was able to pick up the win when she applied the Thunderstruck onto Sakura to give herself the win. Next up, we have Yuna Mizumori teaming up with Waka to take on the members of Stars, Saya Ida, and Hanan. Now, for those who don't know, Yuna Mizumori and Waka Tsukiyama have met before Waka has ever stepped foot into the Stardom ring. So that is how the connection is. But however, Waka, as you know, has been an impressive wrestler since winning her first match, and now she's picking up some winning ways. Now, however, you probably ask yourselves, why does she team up with Yuna Mizumori instead of someone with Club Venus? Well, she does have a connection with her from her past, but it was a pretty impressive match. But it was Waka who picked up the win when she applied the Uzushi suplex onto Saya Ida to give herself the win. But Ida was not a happy girl, believing that she kicked out at the last second, but apparently ref said it was 3. Now you probably would think Ida will not let this one go. She'll come back around and get her revenge on Waka for that particular match. Next up, we have the members of Oedo Tai, consistent of Momo Watanabe, Saki Kashima, and Natsuko Tora, taking on Queen's Quest, Miyu Masaki, Lady C, and Utami Ayashida. Now, you know how Oedo Tai operates. They like to cheat their way through in many of their matches, which is well known and documented in Oedo Tai's history. So, basically, in this particular case, it was Saki Kashima who did a diving foot stomp onto Mayu Imasaki to pick up the win. Now, the next match, we have the other members of Oedo Tai, Ruka and Starlight Kid, taking on Cosmic Angels Meltier, consistent of Natsupoi and Tam Nakano. Now, you know this match is going to be a bit of the aggressiveness because that's how Oedo Tai does. Now, Starlight Kid cannot stand Meltier how they opened up or everything else, but nevertheless, it was Tam Nakano who applied the Tiger Suplex onto Ruka to give herself the win. And I think Tam should be considered lucky that no one pinned her because, as you know, she is the Red Belt champion. Now, our next match, we have Mei Sira teaming up with Zu Suzuki to take on the members of Queen's Quest, consistent of Saya Kamitani and Azumi. This one was a very impressive match. I was like, these girls were going back and forth with move after move, spot after spot. Not to mention, if you, prior before prior before the legend Fukuoka goddesses, Mei Serat, that they'd had a match against Azumi. So this was more one of those matches that led into that preview before that. So that kind of was pretty good. But however, the match ended in a 15-minute time limit draw, so there was no winning. Of course, it's frustrating that we did not see a winner, but sooner or later something would have changed. But no. Next up, we have Club Venus, consistent of Mariah May, Jessie, and Mina Shirakawa, taking on the members of Stars, consistent of Koguma, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, you know for a fact this is one of those matches where Club Venus now has to step up their game since they broke away from Cosmic Angels. However, another X factor is I know Mariah May does have something in mind in her mind. She has talked about maybe proceeding for the IWGP Women's Title. Same thing with Mina. But however, Mayu was probably the potential target in order to be pinned. But luckily, it did not happen. Jessie suffered the final fate when she got moonsault by Mayu Iwatani to pick up the win for Stars. Now, our main event features DDM, consistent of Tekla, Mai Sakurai, Maika, and Julia. They take on the members of God's Eye, consistent of Konami, Suri, Mirai, and Ami Suri. Now, of course, this match starts out with both Konami and Julia because these two like to get in themselves in the same ring, even though despite the fact that Julia tried to convince her to join DDM, even though she declined. But you know how this match was going to go anyway. There was going to be a lot of submission, a lot of hard hitting. But this match ended with, of course, when Konami applied the Triangle Lancer in order to pick up the win for God's Eye. However, as always, Konami did not want to hear what Mai Sakurai had to say, but Julia tried to convince her, let Mai Sakurai do her thing. But of course, they all think she's crazy. Even Suzuki thought the same thing too. But, of course, God's Eye picked up the win. They win the whole thing. So right now, let's move on to the next and final review, which is the next Stardom show. Okay, since we continue with more of the Golden Week Fight Tour by Stardom, this next show took place on the 3rd of May, a day before the Fukuoka show. This one is in, I hope I pronounced it right, Shimonoseki. Hopefully I pronounced it right. And if I didn't, I apologize to any of my subscribers who are Japanese. I'll slap myself in the head for that. Let me do that now. Okay, anyway. It opened up with another three-way. We have Aya Sakura versus Ruka, and of course, the so-called lady, Mai Sakurai. Now, you probably can guess this match would have fallen in favor either to Ruka or to Mai Sakurai, since the X factor in this match is Sakura, who is in fact the newbie, the rookie in the entire in the roster, who is still yet unaffiliated with any of the units. But unfortunately, this one ended with Sakurai actually applying an elbow drop, winning the match. But however, once again, she goes out doing her thing. But she did say that she is confident enough that DDM is going to win the main event. And we'll get to that in a bit. Now, our next match, we have Hanako teaming up with Jessie from Club Venus. They take on the members of Queen's Quest, Mayu Amasaki, and Azumi. Now, you probably would think in this match, since Jessie is a much stronger and Hanako, both these women are strong competitors. Now, we know Azumi is the fastest wrestler that could outmaneuver everyone. And of course, Amasaki, she has a bit of the lesser experience, but much more higher experience than Hanako. So that would have been the X factor in this. But of course, it was Azumi with the Azumi Sushi onto Hanako that picked up the win. Next up, we have Oedo Tai consisting of Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid. They take on Star members Saya Ida and Hanan. Now, you probably can guess this match would have been of an aggressive match, as always been. It was, of course, Ida who ended up on the wrong side of Momo Watanabe's Hito Denashi driver that gave Oedo Tai the win. Now, our next match, we have a trios action. We have Mei Seita teaming up with Yuna Mizumori and Zuzu Suzuki. They take on the members of Queen's Quest, consistent of Lady C, Saya Kamitani, and Utami Hayashida. This was a pretty good match. Now, I know there was some moments you probably can guess. Now, keep in mind, I think there's some moments where Suzuki hasn't forgotten when she pinned Kamitani when she was the white belt champion. I wouldn't be surprised if she even proceeds it as well, but it would be interesting. But however, it was Kamitani with the Frankensteiner onto Mizumori to pick up the win. So that kind of ended right there, giving Queen's Quest the win. Now, our next match, we have Meltier, Natsuko and Tam Nakano taking on the other members of Oedo Tai, Natsuko Tora and Saki Kashima. Now, you know this is going to be an aggressive match, not to mention they took the fight even outside the ring, which is typical Natsuko Tora, who likes to put up a lot, trying to soften up her opponents in order to pick up the win. But however, they try to do whatever maneuvers they can to pick up a good win, but it was Natsupoi with the Ferio gift onto Kashima that gave the win for Meltier. But of course, right in the end, you see Natsuko Tora not happy, kicking Tam Nakano, displeased with the loss. Now, our next match, we have Club Venus with Mariah May, Xena, Wako Tsukiyama, and Mina Shirakawa taking on Godzai, Konami, Misuri, Suri, and Mirai. This was another good, interesting matchup. Not to mention that there was a good moment where Waka and Konami, once again, they butt heads again because last time these two ended up in a double countout, that sort of thing. And there was like a moment of strength between both Xena and Misuri because they're both trying to show how strong they can be even when they apply their chops. That's a good thing. But however, it was Misuri with the Blue Thunder driver onto Xena to pick up the win. However, some people noticed this. This is kind of deja vu for me, and Mina should know this one pretty well. If you guys remember last year, Cosmic Angels were not able to pick up a good win because they were still dealing with the solution of what happened with May Sakurai. But this time, Mina's unit has been suffering some losses, especially when it comes to tag teaming like this. Singles competition is a possibility they could win, but however, in this type of scenario, it's not looking good. So basically, since they're on a new team, they're unable to pick up a good win. But we'll continue more if more of these shows of the Golden Week pop up for me to review. Right now, let's move on to our main event. We have, of course, DDM consisting of Tekla, Maika, and Julia taking on Star members Koguma, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, X Factor in this type of match, Mayu Iwatani should be aware that she has a target on her back, knowing that if they pin her, X Factor is that she could be one of these three members of DM, could potentially decide to challenge for the IWGP Women's Championship. But they took this fight, DDM took this fight right outside of the ring, right through the audience, the chairs. But the most craziest thing, now, Mayu has been known that she's afraid of heights. If you guys remember, she did not want to be inside of a steel cage last year, in last year's Flash in the fight to the top. But however, she decided, I'm going on top of a bus, jump on top of DDM. I thought that was the most craziest thing. I think she must have picked up a bad habit from both Koguma and Azuki. If you guys remember, they thought both Azuki and Koguma were the craziest of all members of Stars. And besides, you remember what Koguma did? She jumped off the damn steel cage. Julia called her crazy. But I guess there's nothing wrong being crazy if you're going to do moves like that. And I think Mayu proved it, why she's the icon. She needs to be crazy to do the most craziest stunts. But they took back the fight into the ring as possible. But Tekla seems more interested in trying to get a little revenge on Mayu due to the fact that she did lose the CWA title to her. But of course, she will do everything to pin Mayu to get a shot of the IWGP Women's Championship. But unfortunately, um, it was the moonsault that finished Tekla off, giving Mayu the win. And of course, in the history like that. So I think that's pretty much it with our reviews at this moment. So let's just move on to our final thing, news updates. Okay, our news updates. So let's see what we have for you guys. For our GCW updates, this is what we have. For the Cleanup Man show that takes place on the 8th of July, it's now been announced that Nick Gage will be participating in the show. But however, I kind of messed up on this one. Should have put this first before it. The GCW versus New South Part 2 will take place on the 25th of June. However, they did announce for a women's tag match. We had Rina Yamashita teaming up with Sawyer Wreck. They take on Kenzie Page and Kylie Alexa. So that's going to be interesting. And also some interesting news. They will be appearing in WrestleCade on the 24th of November. So they got a few months to go. And this will be at the Winston-Salem, North Carolina, I believe. But yes, so that's a good news for them. West Coast Pro announced for their Cruel Summer on July 8th, the Jet Setters, our current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, will be making their debut. Spark Yoshi Puroresu of America has announced for the Ignite West show on the 16th in West Covina and LA County. Trish Adora will be making her appearance there as well. JCW, my bad. JCW, Jersey Championship Wrestling, has announced for the Big Ass Extreme Birthday Bash that takes place on July 8th. Time Machine will be making their appearance. So yes, we got Kushida, Alex Shelley, and Chris Sabin. That's going to be interesting. Gatoh Move later on this month of May on the 29th. They announced for 2 matches for the 5th anniversary of Mei Suruga. The first one they announced is the Super Asia Championship will be defended in a 3-way. Hagane Shino defends the title not only against the previous champion, but he will be facing 2 previous champions, Balinaki and Minoru Fujita. And of course, it was announced that Miya Yotsuba will be facing against Anaki Ryu Mizunami. So that's going to be good. Now, if any subscribers that I know of, or you guys are familiarized with this WWE legend, wrestling legend in general, Billy Graham, it was announced that he was on life support. Basically, they're trying to keep him alive, but however, doctors did reveal that it's not looking good for him. So they're trying to convince Billy Graham's wife to pull him off life support. She refuses. Now, I know this is a very difficult decision for anybody to go through this. I mean, it's not easy. But sometimes when we know that things are like that, sometimes we need to think about what's best for our loved ones when they're in this type of situation. And I'm sure Mrs. Graham is dealing with this. Like I said, it's not an easy decision, but if there's any new information coming up with this, we'll find out more. But I think that's pretty much it right now with our news updates. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Originally, I was going to plan to do GCW stuff, but however, certain things had to come around that I had to address first. But I'll try to make those up as possible. As you know, for our next episode, it's going to feature Tuesday Wrestling that just features NWA Power and NXT. But I also found out we have the latest GLEAT show taking place as we speak as well in Japan. We have Seriism, which is, of course, Cerie's show that she is putting out, Chapter 1. If you guys don't know who Saray, you may remember her from WWE and NXT as Saray, the Warrior of the Sun. This is her first show outside of since returning to Japan, and there'll be more. She's going to be in the main event against Chihiro Hashimoto from Sendai Girls. So I don't know if I'll be able to watch that, but I'll keep updates on that particular show the next time. So for now, I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.